Right now on the line with me, I'm somebody that I'm super proud to have on the line. I've been listening to these guys since the 70s, and I'm showing my age, and I'm happily doing so because one of my favorite eras in rock and roll is definitely the 70s, and I'm not going to lie, it's just incredible music came out of that time. And I'm looking for my intro. Here it is. The band STARZ. Their first two albums are on Kerrang! Magazine's top 100 rock albums of all time list. Their second album by STARZ, of course, Violation, is literally listed in Classic Rock Magazine's 150 albums that you must hear before you die issue. And STARZ has a huge, very big lasting cult following and has been cited as a major influence by bands like Motley Crue, Poison, Twisted Sister, which we're going to play some Twisted Sister after we hear STARZ. But first, we're going to talk to one of the members of STARZ. As a matter of fact, the original and the guitarist and a guy that just rocks, man, big time. Richie Ranno from STARZ is on the line. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for those nice words.
Well, God, you told me you just got done playing a gig, and then you stop by some other people's gigs, and you get pulled on stage, and then you get called to do an interview. It's like, what a rock and roll guy this guy is.
These people said, "Oh, we need two songs from you." I said, "Oh, okay," and then, of course I had to sing them. Then they said, "And a third." I said, "I don't have much time. I'm like getting close to the hour that I have to go do something," but I did three, and that was the second place I was at. After the first place that I was at, which I did a 3-hour gig solo. I did a solo gig today.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it, man. We've been listening to STARZ since, I was 10 years old when your album came out, and then, of course, on and on. Are you still living in New Jersey?
Yep.
I know.
I was 8 years old when I made that first album.
That's a good one, man. Well, at least we were around the same age. I know.
Exactly.
I know that once you graduated high school, you left in the Teaneck, New Jersey area, and you went to Wisconsin. Have you ever been to Kenosha, Wisconsin?
Anytime, sure.
Oh, okay. Because there's so many rock and rollers that I know that are from Kenosha.
Oh yeah.
Yep, Beautiful Bert, 1096. I had to ask, man.
Yeah, you say it, Kenosha.
There you go. You got the accent down right?
Yeah, I spent 3 years there,
That's awesome. Well, we're going to shout out to Ricky and Andrew and Kelly who are listening in Racine, Wisconsin, right next door to Kenosha tonight.
Oh, Racine, yeah, played there too. Yeah, I must have played every crazy town in Wisconsin. It was great. I had a great time. Spent 3 years out there. I hung out with some great people and other musicians that I was friends with at the time were the guys like in Cheap Trick, but they weren't called Cheap Trick. They were called Fuse at that time. And I guess who else did I hang out with a little bit? Styx, Brownsville Station. They were from Michigan. A lot of guys that I hung around with that did really well, later on,
Well, you know what, Richie, I'm from Peoria, Illinois originally, and that's kind of the hometown area of Gary Richrath from REO Speedwagon.
Yes, hung out with REO too, yes. Did
you and Gary have any kind of bond or friendship whatsoever?
Yes, absolutely. We did a number of dates with REO Speedwagon all over the country, and Gary in particular and I hit it off very well. He was a really great guy, great guitar player.
Oh my God, he's so underrated too, man.
Yeah, he shouldn't be. He was great, always great, and always very nice. Like, I never had a problem with him.
Yeah.
A lot of guys got a little competitive on the road sometimes, or some guys that did, I should say, and he wasn't one of those. He was just, just a down-to-earth great guy.
Awesome. And what some people might not know is when you were in Wisconsin back then, you had a band called Bunchy, correct? You recorded your first record, 6 Days on the Road, for the Target label. You guys did play a lot of gigs with, like you said, bands like, Styx and Bob Seger, people like that.
Yes, Bob. We did a lot of gigs with Bob, yes.
Wow. What was Bob Seger like to work with?
Oh, fantastic. Great guy. I bought a speaker cabinet from him one night when we were backstage, a Fender speaker cabinet. It was blonde Fender.
That's awesome.
$50. He goes, "Hey man, you need a speaker cabinet? I'm trying to sell one." I said, "Yeah, what do you got?" He showed me. I said, $50. It's probably all I made that week. And I gave him the $50 and I bought it. Unfortunately, it got stolen out of the Kiss warehouse when we had Kiss and STARZ had a warehouse. I don't know what happened to it, but it always, whenever I think about it, it kind of bums me out because I wish I still had it. But that's life.
Yeah, I can relate to losing things, but I guess we learn unattachment real quick, huh?
Yeah, that's all. I've lost many things in my life. That's right.
So, Richie, in '73, you moved back to Teaneck after a while. You joined the band STARZ shortly after they became the #1 band in the country with Brother Louie. And, boy, you jumped into a pretty good position at that point.
Yeah. I certainly did. I was grateful for that at the time. It was a lot of fun. I played in a great band there. Kenny Aronson, the famous bass player, was the bass player. We got along really great. That was a fun time. It was about a year. Is how long it lasted. Then
okay.
Then the band split up.
And people don't know that. Well, the band STARZ did Brother Louie, of course, and you guys were like, you guys were like playing, and like the Eagles were like playing on bills with you guys and things like that.
Yeah, we did a rock festival with the Eagles. That was a lot of fun because I was a big Eagles fan too.
That's wild. And then, of course, I have to ask you a question. In '75, you auditioned for the Fallen Angels, and then they got the gig. You got the gig out of like 75 guitar players. I'm wondering, are you familiar with the other Fallen Angels, consisting of some of the Hanoi Rocks guys?
Graham Parsons, I thought, was in the Fallen Angels band.
Well, yep. Graham.
Grievous Angels.
He had the Grievous Angels.
Oh, he also had a group. No, he had a group called Fallen Angels. I'm pretty sure. You might be right, though. But I know there were other Fallen Angels bands, so maybe more than one.
Okay. Just wondered if you'd heard of those guys. They had the singer for a UK punk band called the Vibrators with the guys from the Hanoi Rocks, and they did, I think, 3 or 4 albums, but it was totally different music,
Oh, yeah. Well, we never... the group made one album as the Fallen Angels, but it never came out. It was only a couple of 45s came out, and that was before I was in the band.
Okay. Of course, I was reading some history about STARZ and, about the history of your albums and how a couple of the members wanted to continue down more of a power pop path. You guys wanted to do a heavier path, which I commend you, believe me. And then STARZ, of course, split up in '79. You've had stuff like Hardcore and the Hellcats and the new STARZ lineups, the Richie Ranno group. You've done a lot of stuff over the years, man. What is your main inspiration, Richie? What keeps you going? Is it just a love of rock and roll?
Well, yeah, the love of playing guitar, I think, is really more the right word. I did actually have to take some time off from gigs. The gigs got me a little down. It took about 4 years off of no gigs, and I felt like that was it. I was never going to do a gig for the rest of my life, and I wasn't that old. I mean, it was, I'm in my 40s, but a good friend of mine who I just saw, he's a bartender at this local VFW, actually, believe it or not, and that's where I stopped because they have music there, and he's the guy who just kept saying, I think you should, do this gig I got for you. I said, no, I'm not interested. I don't play anymore. You know that. And he'd heard me play in the heyday there and stuff, and he really wanted me to get back into it. So I said, no. And then after a few weeks, he said, come on, play. I said, okay, when is it? And he told me the date. I went there with my guitar. Les Paul's son was the bass player, Rusty, and he had a drummer there. It was just a trio. And I played, and I thought that was it. Fine. He goes, did you have a good time? And I said, yeah, it was great. It was really great. He goes, good, because you're playing every Sunday. And that was in 2001. And, that was it. I never stopped since.
Well, Richie, you have a big fan out there named Karen in Rhode Island, and she was kind enough to compile a small list of some cool questions, and I thought they were worthy of asking, if you don't mind.
Sure. Okay.
Well, back in the day, STARZ released your second album, Violation, that had 2 hit singles, Cherry Baby, which was a top 40 hit, of course, and Sing It, Shout It went to 65, number 65 on the charts. And Karen was wondering, when you wrote the song Cherry Baby, was it your intention for that to be a mainstream hit or just a great rock song?
We never wrote any songs to be hits. When we wrote it, I don't think it was necessarily our strongest song, but when we went into the studio to record it, we came up with some ideas. I played a 12-string on that, plus I played 2 other 6-strings, and Brendan played a couple of 6-strings also. But Jack really got into it. Jack Douglas was our producer who produced Aerosmith and John Lennon also, and was a great producer. And we just kind of took that song a lot further than we imagined we could, and came out beautifully. It almost sounds like Badfinger meets, I don't know, some, it's just like a lot of different things it had, a lot of different elements. And, it should have gone higher than it did. And it was up there. I guess a lot of people know the story. If you don't know, I'll tell you.
Now, please do. Now, please don't hold back, man.
Well, it was number 33 with a bullet. And every Monday, it was my job while we were on tour to call our management's office up and ask them what the new number was on Billboard. And there were three magazines, Billboard, Cashbox, and Record World. And I would call and ask for the numbers and then tell the guys, because the numbers weren't made public till Wednesday. But the management knew. So I would do that, and we were counting on a top 20 hit. And that would have brought the album into the platinum status in those days. And then we went in to do the video in L.A. for Cherry Baby. And we did it. It was beautifully done. And then they said, well, while you're here, you're going to do Sing It, Shout It. So we said, okay. So they put the tape on, because it's really, you're lip syncing. You make it look like you're playing on a big stage and the whole thing, but you're really not playing. You're making believe you're playing while the music is blasting through monitors.
Yes.
And I guess Sing It, Shout It was like 5 minutes long, maybe 5:10, something like that. And no one mentioned to us, but they cut it apart really badly. Like, they reduced it down to like 3.5 minutes without telling us. Mm-hmm. And as the song was going around, all of a sudden, there was only half a verse there. So we stopped. We said, what's this? And our manager said, we edited it. We edited it. And we said, who edited it? He claimed that Jack Douglas edited it. And I said specifically, Jack Douglas would never butcher a song this bad. I mean, if you're going to edit it, it would have been done right if Jack was doing it. Who really did this? He said, well, I approved it until he got it right. I said, it's not right. And I got really mad myself. And then everyone kind of got a little mad. Maybe not everyone. A few guys. And one guy jumped off the stage and ran at our manager, Bill Aucoin, and threw him down on the ground and started choking him.
Wow.
And so I know I jumped off the stage to pull him off of Bill, and so did our road manager was there, and another roadie of ours, and the three of us were pulling Doobie off. It was Doobie, our drummer. And we pulled him off of Bill, and then we started settling down, started talking about it, and said, okay. I guess Doobie said sorry or whatever, and we went back up and we said, okay, we'll do the video like this, but we weren't happy about it, but we did it. The video is on YouTube. You can look it up. Just Sing It, Shout It.
Yeah, and a lot of folks, if you don't know, Bill Aucoin was, famously known as Kiss's manager. Do you have any good or bad memories about that guy? Because a lot of people either love or hate him, it seems like.
I both love him and hate him. So I was the only guy in the band, actually, who later made amends with him. He did some bad things to us, I guess you could say, business-wise. But he didn't mean to. I don't feel like it was truly his intention. Well, other than this. So what happened was, after that incident, we went to Cleveland. And on the Monday, I called the office, and I said, what number are we this week? And the girl said, 33. No. I said, does it have a bullet? She said, no. I said, well, it had a bullet at 33 last week. What does this mean? I don't like this. And she said, I don't know. I'm just answering, I'm just telling you. I said, well, put Alan Miller on. Alan Miller was kind of, he was an executive, I guess you could say, at Aucoin Management. He dealt with us directly, probably more so than anyone else there. And I said, put him on the phone. I want to know what's going on. Oh, he said, yeah, hi, Rich. He said, yeah, don't worry about it. We pulled the promotion on that song. I said, what do you mean you pulled the promotion on that song? He said, yeah, because we're going to make Sing It, Shout It really big. I said, you don't know what you're talking about. This is already number 33, 13 more points. We have a top 20 single and a platinum album. Why would you gamble on the next song going into the top 20 when it's not even on the charts yet? That's a lot more work than going from 33 to 20. And I argued, and I was told that they knew what they were doing. End of story. The next song went up to 65 or so, right? Wow. So, okay, so then we went and made another album, and Capitol acted like they were disappointed in us because we didn't have big hits. And I was like, do you make the hits? We just record them. You're the business guys. But anyway, it got really convoluted there and bad. And many years later, well, we broke up for 20 years, and in 2003 we regrouped, and then a couple of years later we were on the road doing a bunch of gigs, and we just started talking, and I said, you know what? How did we not figure out that when Doobie choked Bill Aucoin, the next week our record was pulled? Oh. How did we not figure that out back then? Oh. It's pretty obvious what happened.
Wow.
And basically he destroyed our careers.
Power play, yeah.
Yeah, you choke them, you'll see what'll happen. I guess I can understand that to some degree, but
wow, that's a bummer realization. Wow, man, thanks for sharing that story with us. Though that's very compelling stuff.
Well, and then around that, prior to that time, before I even figured it out, I ran this KISS convention, the New York KISS convention, once a year for 22 years, and it was an interesting thing to do, and it was cool. And my partner in it got Bill Aucoin to be a guest. And I said, what do you mean you get Bill Aucoin to be a guest? I don't talk to him. And he said, too late. I made the arrangement. I said, okay. And so at the convention, we started talking. And you know what? We became friends again. And I'm glad we did. It's just the way it goes. And I'm glad we did, because in 2010, actually, he passed away. And I did have some, spend some time with him, and things had changed, and he lost all his money and all his wealth there, and he was down to earth at that point, and I was glad I did. I was the only band member to actually do that. So
wow, well, that's amazing, man. Didn't you guys play the KISS convention with Bruce Kulick on guitar in 2008?
Yeah, that was the last one we did, that I did. I ended the KISS conventions that year, but Bruce was a guest at the convention, and STARZ was playing there for the first time. We had STARZ and Angel playing, and Bruce got up and did 3 songs with us. It was great. I've been good friends with Bruce for many years.
Yeah, I've had the privilege of he's been on the show years and years ago, like 25 years ago. But you also, speaking of Angel, you and Angel with STARZ supported Ace Frehley of KISS in St. Louis in 2019. How was that experience?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. We did like a month of gigs with Angel, and that was a lot of fun. We were going to do a month and a half the next year, and of course the whole world changed, and it's never been the same since because COVID hit. But yeah, it's a shame we lost that next tour. It's a shame that COVID hit, but that's what happened.
Yeah, what are you doing these days? Are you actively creating new music? I know you're playing gigs because you played one earlier. Are you doing solo stuff? So what's exactly the big picture right now for you?
Well, we got a singer in STARZ, and another guitar player, and another bass player, and Doobie and I, and we did a gig opening up for Grand Funk Railroad at one of the PAC centers in New Jersey last month, and it went over really great. It was a lot of fun, and I guess that's going to be the new lineup, and we're going to try and get some more gigs. And plus, I do these solo gigs, and I have a trio also that plays. Well,
there's some information that you told me and Sister Tracy off the air. I've got to say, Richie let me know that he's never been to the state of Oregon, nor has he ever played here. So, man, we've got to get STARZ to at least to Portland or Southern Oregon or Eugene, anywhere in the state.
Yeah, that's pretty weird, but it's true. Because I look back and I've been through this whole country. I think the only states I didn't play in were with between Stories and STARZ were Alaska. I played Hawaii, Oregon, and it's possible I never played either Arizona or New Mexico. I'm not sure.
Wild.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. I read somewhere that during 1978's Coliseum Rock that you guys literally banned Capitol Records reps from going backstage. Is that true?
Yeah. Towards the end of that. Yeah, towards the very end of that tour, we were so pissed off because our albums weren't in the stores of the cities we were playing.
I'm really disappointed to hear why, but it makes me so happy that you did that.
Well, I told them if you let them back here, I'm going to throw them out personally. So, and then here's the final stab in the back. So we're out in LA, and we decided to stay out in LA for a period of time, like a couple of months. And from there, we played like Utah, just, playing around and writing a new album with that lineup that did the Coliseum Rock album. And we wrote the whole album. And again, I was the guy who was the liaison to Bill Aucoin and the management's office. And I said, Kiss, you got to remember, Kiss was very big in 1979.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, we want to do a new album. We have all the stuff done, but all the songs, written, but we don't want to do it for Capitol. And Bill said, oh, well, they really want to keep you. I said, why? I said, I spoke to them. They really want to keep you because they invested a lot of money in you, which was horseshit anyway. And I said, yeah, no, we're not going to make another album for them. Absolutely not, Bill. I said, we don't want anything to do with them. They screwed us on this album big time. It was a great album. We knew it was a great album. And looking back, I realized it was greater than I realized at the time, than I thought.
Absolutely.
So anyway, but we said, no, we're not going to do it. Get us off the label. And, he got back to me and he said, no, they really want you to do it. I said, we're not doing it. We hate their guts. They screwed us. Because at that time, we thought it was their fault also about Cherry Baby. We hadn't pieced it together that it was actually probably most likely Bill's doing. But, so he said, okay, I'll see what I can do. So he calls me back a few days later. Okay, I got you off the label. I said, fantastic, great. Now, let's work on a deal for a different label. Oh, because I can't get you another. I can't do that. I said, what do you mean? He said, they're only signing punk rock groups and new wave groups. I said, do you know that before you took us off of Capitol? He goes, sure. I said, well, we didn't know that. We're not in the music business. We're not in the business of music. We're in the business of writing songs and playing them in musicianship. So we had no idea that they're only signing punk groups and new wave groups. And you didn't tell me that. Because if you did, we would have made this album for Capitol against our better judgment, but at least we would have made the album. Now what are we going to do? Well, I don't know, he said. I said, yeah, I don't know either. And so that was the end of the band.
Wow, they could have at least given you a chance to get a mohawk. Just kidding.
Oh, my God. Yeah, right? We would have written all new wave songs. No, not true.
I'm joking.
Yeah, you know what? It was more than I could really psychologically handle at that point in my life.
I don't know, but Coliseum Rock, I don't know how you feel about it, 100%, but I think it's one of my favorite albums by you guys. I was just trying to pick a song to play off of it, and there are so many good tunes on that album that it's just hard to even choose.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about it. We were very lucky. We got Jack Richardson, very prolific producer, and up in Canada. We went up to Toronto, recorded there. Bob Ezrin was his protege, and I guess you know what Bob Ezrin has done.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah, we had a great time up there, and the album just came out so great. And, so we had high hopes when we went on the road that things would be right. But we were playing places where we'd go to the record store to sign autographs, and the place would be packed with, fans, and there were no albums. Really? It's like, how does that happen?
Yeah. Somebody dropped the ball, or they sabotaged one of the two, right?
I have no clue. I don't know why they would have spent the money to have us record an album. I guess they were getting ready to promote the Knack.
Yeah,
you're probably right, man. I think even though it sounds funny, if you think about the business end of things and what really did transpire, they probably were literally getting ready to promote the Knack.
The Knack or Elvis Costello or something.
The interesting thing is really only two of the hard rock type groups managed to be successful from 1979 to around 1983. And that really, those only two groups are AC/DC and Van Halen.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah, you're right.
All the other groups, they hung in there, but they didn't do well. Then they all made some of them made great comebacks, like Judas Priest in like 83, and Judas Priest held their own to some degree too, but
Aerosmith.
But then they all were. If we could have stayed together, things would have been a lot different. But we would have had to be from a different country, because like the Scorpions, and they were big in Europe. Judas Priest was big overseas, but we weren't, and we were here, stuck in the doldrums of new wave music, which. Some songs that are great, don't get me wrong, but to me, it was
Not rock and roll.
I just wasn't that into it, you know.
Yeah, well, you're a man that stuck to your guns, and you have a lot of integrity in your music, and it's so great that you're still around doing it, man. And when I reached out recently on social media, had no idea you'd be so cool about coming on. We're definitely out of time, Richie, but thank you a million for taking the time to rap with us for a while.
We'd like to have it again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, thanks so much. What song are we playing, Sister Tracy?
I chose Live Wire.
We're going to do Live Wire.
Okay, that's a cool song.
Yeah. Last question. Have you considered writing a book, or have you ever written an autobiography?
I'm working on it right now, and there's also going to be a best of my solo stuff coming out soon on not a major label, but, Renaissance Records.
Okay.
We're going to be getting that.
That's awesome. Renaissance Records, best of Richie Ranno solo material coming out in the future. Awesome.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. I'm keeping it going. I mean, I'm not going to make money, but I do it for fun.
Yeah, us musician types, people don't get it, man, especially in today's age. It's like, yeah, back in the day maybe, but these days, good luck with money.
Yeah.
But that's what are you going to do?
I do the local gigs. I'm fine.
Thank you, Richie. Well, thank you, and have a great night, my friend, and keep rocking, and much respect.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's nice of you. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, rock and roll.